Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be part 2 on the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill The Vault collection. So I just got the new collection in PR from Morphe, so thank you to them for sending this over to me. I did receive the original one as well. I do have first impression and also a review video on my channel. I will have both of those linked down below. In my review video, I touched on some of the troubles that I was having with the palettes, kind of the inconsistency amongst the palettes that I was finding, and I was happy to hear that they were going to delay the launch of these. The launch is now going to be August 14th. The palettes are reformulated in here, and in today's video I'm going to try each of the 4 palettes on my eyes using some of the shades that I had the most issues with from the original batch of palettes that came out. I asked on my Instagram if you wanted to see a video in general on these palettes, what you wanted to see, and actually a lot of people said just do something quick. We just want to see those shades that you had a lot of issues with. Are they better? Are they working better in these? So I just grabbed 3 shades from each of the palettes, and boom, 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 boom. We got 4 different looks going on the eyes. I did already film that, so if my face looks a little crazy, it's because I forgot to film an intro. I just really was excited to hop in and see the differences amongst these palettes. I will also do swatches. I will talk about the comparisons that I thought I was noticing amongst the swatches, and also putting the shades on my eyes as well. So when I received the package, it came like this in the box here, and then inside you have the little cardboard box, and then each of the palettes are in here. I believe this is how it will come if you do order the palettes online. Like I said, the release date is now August 14th, so I think that's what it is going to look like. If you were to order the entire bundle, you still can purchase these separately as well. And then one thing that I did notice with the palettes is that they do have a V2 on the back. I'm going out of town starting tomorrow morning. I'm filming this on a Thursday, and I'm going to be out of town until Sunday, if not Monday, so I'm hoping to get this video up for Tuesday, and I just wanted to be able to play around and get an idea. Since I am going to be gone at a wedding that my husband's involved in, I'm not going to be able to be playing with the palettes like I normally would be able to play with makeup for a while. So I just wanted to get something out there quick and my first thoughts out there. This is not a review video. I am not someone who tries something for the first time and gives you my review. My review will be coming later after I try out these palettes a little bit more. So this is definitely just a first impression, so please make a note of that as well. But why don't we go ahead and jump into the first palette. Alrighty, so I do want to first start off with the yellow palette. This is the Armed and Gorgeous palette, because this was one that I did an incredibly simple eye look in my first impressions video. I was trying to do 4 different styles of eye looks. This was the one where I did the most simple. I used the least amount of shadows, but it was also the one where when I started trying all the other shadows that I was the most disappointed in this palette, so I really want to try this one. I did go ahead and re-swatch all of these palettes. I will insert clips of the swatches when I'm working with each palette, and also a comparison of my swatch photos in the first batch of palettes and then these batches of palettes. I will say that the majority of my issues amongst the original palettes tended to be with the mattes. I thought majority-wise the shimmers were all really darn good, but it was some of the mattes that I was having issues with. I noticed when I was swatching the first palettes that I think I said this in my first impression video, that I thought the mattes swatched a little bit different than the mattes in the original Jaclyn Hill palette, which, you know, they've said the formula is the same. I noticed right off the bat that the swatches definitely felt more creamier when I was going into the volume 2. The shimmers for the most part I thought were really similar, and then some palettes there was definitely some standout ones that I noticed, and you know, I've been here for the past hour going back and forth between each palettes as well, trying to see if I could notice a difference, and there's definitely a few palettes, and I will point those out, that I noticed certain shades being way different than the original ones. So off the bat, I do think that there are going to be differences between the first batch that came out and the second batch that came out, so I did want to go ahead and state that as well. But first I want to go into, like I said, this Armed and Gorgeous palette, and like I said, I'm just going to do one eye look on each eye and then switch back and forth. I do want to see if these palettes are different, but I also want to make sure that I do like them, that I would be able to recommend them. This is not a review video, this is a first impression. I've only swatched these, so take that how you will, but I will come back in a little bit here and do my full review video like I normally do. So, okay, so to jump into it here, I'm first going to pick up the shade Secure from this palette. I'm going to use a Morphe E27 and blend that into the crease. One thing that I noticed with the original palette and the majority of the looks that I was doing was getting a lot of fallout with the shades, which I didn't experience with the Jaclyn Hill palette. So I want to notice if I, see a lot of fallout within these as well. One thing that I do like to say too, to keep in mind, is that I am not a makeup artist at all. I'm completely self-taught through YouTube within the last couple of years here. I'm a novelist who also just really enjoys makeup and playing with makeup, so keep that in mind. Okay, so off the bat, I'm noticing that that's pretty darn smooth. I think that looks pretty good. So I really want to come in with this Top Secret color because this was one that I had a ton of problems with when I was trying to use it off camera. I actually went to try to create a look with this palette and ended up having to wash it off, which normally does not happen. I can usually, even though I'm not a makeup artist, like I can usually make things work in the end, and I really could not make things work with this palette during one of the looks that I was trying. So I'm gonna come into Top Secret with a Karity E30, and I'm going to, that's already much better. I'm going to come in and place this down on the outer part of my eye. That's seriously already so much better than what happened when I was originally trying to use it. It was almost like there was no pigment to it, and when I was like patting it down, because I was doing the same thing, like this is basically very similar to the look that I tried to do with this palette once. When I was like placing it down here, it was almost like nothing was happening, and it was extremely patchy. So immediately just laying it down, that already seems better to me, but let's go ahead and try to blend it. Come in and just put a little bit more down here as well, and then blend it again. It is, a dark matte shade, and like I said in my first impression video, sometimes I'm not the most skilled in working with these darker colors. I recently did a video trying out the Natasha Denona Lila palette, and I kind of made that comment as well with the real dark, like a matte purple that's in there. But honestly, this is going so much smoother than the first one. Also, I really am not experiencing a lot of fallout as of yet here on my eyes, but I think that looks a lot smoother. You do notice if my eyelids look a little funky, I had a reaction to some new makeup that I tried the other day, and actually this is my first time wearing makeup since having that reaction, and my eyelids are still kind of suffering a little bit, so I do apologize for that. But I'm going out of town, and I really wanted to get something filmed with these just to get an idea before I come in and do my review. I feel like it's still almost like a little patchy right in here. That could be my dry eyelid issues, or just like user error or all that. I'm gonna try out this shimmer right here, which is Classified. I did spray my brush. I'm using the Sigma E55. I typically do spray my brush with a setting spray before I use it. I'm just gonna kind of pack that one onto the lid. It just, again, a little bit of fallout down here. Not as bad as I experienced the first time, which is good. So again, I'm just kind of doing quick and simple eye looks, wanting to play with some of the shades that I was having the most problems with. So those two mattes especially were ones that gave me a bit of difficulty, and so far I think that they seem a lot better than the original batch that I experienced. So next up, I wanted to play with the Dark Magic palette, because this was another one that I had a lot of issues with. Now, I did say that I'm not super comfortable with really dark shades like this, and I generally have a hard time working with them just in general. So I was pretty intimidated by this palette. I had a lot of issues though, so I'm going to try to create a look that I don't know if it's going to actually make sense, but again, I'm simply trying to play with the shades that I had issues with. And I did ask on Instagram, what do you guys want to see? Do you want to see a video with these palettes? Are you like over them? And a lot of people said, can you play with the shades that you had the most trouble with? So that's what I'm going to do here. Now, this is one palette that I will say, the shade Temptress, to me swatched so different from the original. This one, the minute I put my finger in it, I was like, okay, this is what that shade is supposed to feel like. It swatched better, it was smoother, it definitely, I don't know, the word creamier gets kind of overused, but it definitely was way more creamier than the original one. I actually want to use that one, which I'm kind of nervous about, but I was way more impressed. I will say these dark shades right here, Busted an Inside Job. Okay, Busted an Inside Job still didn't swatch the best for me, but I think that they were a little bit better. Okay, so I know I actually did have some trouble with Potion as well. So I'm gonna use that one first. Again, this eye look might not be like the most cohesive eye look in the world, but we're just trying things out. I'm gonna be using the same brushes. I'm just cleaning them off with my Cinema Secrets brush cleaner as I do them. So I'm actually gonna do this eye, just give this eye a break for a second. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and try to blend this one into the crease first and see how we do. Again, that's better than what it was the original try. The original one is so like uneven is the word that kind of comes to my mind. Just very uneven, very you know patchy. I definitely don't think that this one looks as bad. I think it's blending out fairly easily actually. Okay. That's what I want. I'm gonna go into Inside Job because this was a shade that I was pretty excited for, and I just noticed some issues with it. And again, I don't feel like it's like, I feel like it swatched better, but I wasn't like, oh, okay, here we go sort of thing. So I'm just going to take this one and start to build it on the outside of the eye, just like I did in the previous look as well. This one isn't looking as good as I was hoping for. So I'm just gonna take that same, like the Karity brush, and I'm just gonna start to blend it and see how it blends out. I feel like it's blending better. When I was first putting it down, I was kind of like, oh no, the same thing's gonna happen. But I feel like it's definitely blending out better than I was maybe expecting. So that is after blending. I think that looks better. Like I'm fairly happy with that. I think it's just like slightly patchy right here, and I could probably blend it out a little bit better, but it's better than I thought. And I really do want to try Temptress here on the eye. I do have my Sigma brush sprayed, and I'm gonna go ahead and pack this onto the eye. It's so much better. There's no fallout on my eye with that shade, and that's a difference as well. Good. That I feel like I notice with the shade Temptress is that it just applies so much smoother onto my eyelid instead of kind of being almost like more draggy. I feel like it just applied very smooth. So that's definitely a plus. Good. Good. Okay, so those are the shades that I wanted to try from the Dark Magic palette. This is the look that I created. I'm definitely happier with the 3 shades that I tried, but I still feel like I'm not completely sold on this palette. Like, okay, I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like I'm not completely sold yet, and I'm definitely going to be trying some of these, especially some of these mattes down here. Like, I definitely want to give them a try. So next up, I want to play with Bling Boss. This is the purple palette. I did like this palette. There was a few like small issues with this one, but I'm excited to play with it again. I really like the look that I did in my first impression style video. I like that one quite a bit. But for this one, I think I'm going to play with the shades Rockstar, also Mystic, which was one I had some trouble with, and then also Berry Treasure. Berry Treasure is another one that I felt like swatched completely different from the first palette as well. And again, it kind of reminded me of the Temptress shade that I just used, that dark one. It was so much better, smoother when I swatched it, etc. So I'm really curious to try that one on my eye as well. Alrighty, so first I'm picking up the Rockstar shade with the Morphe blending brush, and I'm gonna go ahead and blend that one into the crease. So here I've just taken some time to build it up, and honestly, I feel like I'm pretty happy with that. I still think it's a little on the patchy side here, but I think I'm pretty happy with that one to leave it as it is right here. Next I'm going into that darker shade Mystic with that Karity brush, and I'm just gonna go ahead and place that one down. Honestly, I feel it's so crazy. I feel like from the first palette that I used, and I just kind of laid it down right here, and now this palette too, I can really tell a difference. That makes me happy. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty frustrated with what happened because I spent so much time on my first video. I spent so much time trying out all the palettes throughout the week. I spent so much time on my review video, and the night that they announced it, I had almost gotten finished with my editing my review video, and I was like, what do I do? Do I even post this? Like, I just wasn't sure what to do, and I was, you know, talking about it on social media, and everyone said I should still post it because, you know, all the time that I put into it, but I was just like, man, this sucks. My Sigma brush is sprayed, and I'm going into that Berry Treasure. I'm just gonna go ahead and pack that onto the lid here. I don't feel like I noticed as big of a difference between this one and the last palette. Like, the last palette was like night and day for me. This one, I didn't get that like immediate reaction, but I think that one looks pretty nice. So again, I just kind of want to note that, you know, I am getting fallout. I don't think it's as bad, and again, I want to try some of the other colors and see if I get as bad a fallout as I did on the first one. But you can tell in my first impressions, I had a lot of purple on my face after I got done filming with this palette, and I don't feel like I have as much for sure. That shade definitely, I think it went on better on the eyes. I do wish the purples would have maybe blended out just a little bit easier. I still feel like it's just not like the easiest shades I've worked with, but I still feel like I can see an improvement in them. Okay, so lastly, we are going into the Ring the Alarm palette. Now, this is the palette that I really liked the most out of the collection, and I had the least amount of issues with. So I'm still gonna obviously create a little simple quick look here to see. I think I'm gonna use the shade Alert. I'm also gonna use Framed, and then I wanna use Boom in here as well. I noticed a lot of people said that they thought the purple that I used from the first impressions, they thought it was patchy. Again, could be me, because I actually quite like that look and I thought I did real well. I thought I would try that one again so you guys can see how it plays out here on camera once again. So let me go ahead and get started with Ring the Alarm. Okay, coming into that first shade Alert with my Morphe brush, I'm just gonna go ahead and push this one into the crease. I think this one looks pretty darn good so far. I feel like it blended pretty easily. So next up, I'm grabbing the Karity brush and Framed, which is that matte purple. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this down here and then slowly start to blend it. Honestly, I felt like it laid down weird. Doesn't that look kind of weird? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of blend that into the crease as well. Okay, once I got past the like kind of initial funkiness, I feel like it just laid down kind of weird. But once I started blending, I feel like it's blending really well too. And I have no fallout around my eyes from either of those two shades, so that's good. And again, I feel like I'm kind of touching on the fallout a lot, and it's not bad to get fallout on the face, and there's definitely shadows and palettes that I use that I do experience fallout with. My concern with the fallout from my first video was that the original Jaclyn Hill palette, I do not have a lot of fallout. That's kind of like what I was trying to compare it to, so it's kind of why I was just so like, huh, there's a lot of fallout here, there's a lot of fallout there. Why I kind of kept mentioning it in the first video, and again, why I'm mentioning it here. But I feel like that looks pretty good. I don't know, you guys can let me know what you think, but I think that purple looks really nice. Now I'm taking my Sigma brush and I'm going into the shade Boom, and I'm just applying that all over the lid. That's so pretty. That's such a pretty shade. And again, this is one of the kind of like the shimmers that reminds me a lot of the original palette. The shimmers in there are so nice, and I definitely thought a lot of the shimmers in these ones were really, really nice as well. Again, it was mostly the mattes I was struggling with, but this shimmer is so smooth and just so easy to apply. I have pretty minimal fallout around my eye as well, and I actually like that look. I didn't think these colors were really gonna pair together, and again, that's not what I was going for. But I feel like that looks actually kind of pretty, so I like that. So here is the fourth and final look. This one from the Ring the Alarm palette. Again, I really enjoyed this one. I did from the original batch, but I also quite enjoyed this one. Alrighty guys, so that is everything for today's video, trying out a few of the shades that I found to be quite tricky from the original batch of the Morphe Jaclyn Hill The Vault collection. So I will say, just again, based off first impressions, I'm a lot happier with this palette. I felt like I had an easier time blending the majority of the shades in here. The fallout was way less than what I was noticing in the original batch of these as well. I will try to get my review video up as quickly as I can. Like I said, I am going out of town and I'm not going to be able to play with these until I get back next week, but my review video for sure will be up before the launch date as well. so I can give you my full thoughts then. I would love to know what you thought of the shades that I did use in here. Do you think that they performed better from the original video that I did? Did you think that they were worse? Do you think that there's no difference? Are you guys still planning on picking up one or more of these palettes? Are you over it? Let me know what you are thinking down in the comments down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I will be excited to come back and give my full review soon. But other than that, if you guys did enjoy today's video, I'd love it if you gave this one a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go. I do post every single day except for Saturdays. And other than that, I will just catch you in tomorrow's video.